Hey guys, welcome to week 4 and congratulations on finishing your first major project for the semester. I see that most of you, in fact, I think almost all of you, had a chance to complete project 1 without any problems. I know some of you had Blackboard issues and things like that, but I think for the most part, all of you were able to complete the assignment without any real problems. In terms of the Blackboard stuff, if you ever are unsure if your draft submitted to Blackboard, or if you're ever not sure if it uploaded correctly or if you uploaded the wrong draft, just email me a copy in the interim and then we'll get it sorted out from there. But that way you have peace of mind knowing that I have a draft from you on time. You don't have to worry about, will I accept it? I will always accept it if you email it to me before the due date or, when it's due. And then we'll just figure out the Blackboard issues. So never worry about that. If I get an emailed copy from you, I will always accept it, even if you had trouble with Blackboard, because Blackboard is a problem sometimes. So just know that going in, that I'll always accept an emailed copy as well. All right, so today what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about Project 2, because now we are transitioning from Project 1 to Project 2. And so we're going to take a look at what's on deck for that project, for week 4 in particular. But first I want to talk a little bit about blogs. So I noticed a lot of you didn't complete Blog 2. Now, if you remember, Blog 2 was the blog that was due on Sunday along with Project 1. Blog 2 asked you to summarize 2 articles. One article that I've assigned to you, anyone that we've read throughout the semester, and one article from your community. And I noticed a lot of you didn't do that. And this is a problem, not only because blogs are worth points and those points add up, but it's also a problem because these are the articles that you're going to be using potentially for Project 2. And so what I want to do for a minute is, and this might end up being 2 videos for this week if we run out of time, but what I want to do for a minute is to talk about how to find articles if you're still having problems. Now, I went over this in previous videos, but let's take a look. And so if you're on your academia and you've signed in right here, what we want to do is we want to go to this WSU Libraries. Now, there's 2 things that you can do. Your best bet is going to be go to this menu, and you want to go to this Research Guides. Now, the goal here is to find a research guide within a field that you're interested in. So if you're interested in business, nursing, whatever it is to find that research guide. So for example, if you're interested in business, we could go here. Now, if you remember what these research guides are, is they're a collection of resources that a university has available that are tailored to that particular field. And so what this librarian right here has done is she's filtered out all of the other stuff that Wayne State has and has just given you the stuff that applies to business. And so this will save you time in trying to sort through a lot of different things. And so what you'll do is you'll go to one of these article databases that she's collected here. For example, this one. You'll sign in. And you'll just enter in whatever kind of topic you're interested in. So remember, these are the topics that maybe you saw your community interested in Project 1, some topics you had questions about. And so let's just think business. I'll type in finance just see what comes up. Now, what comes up is all of these different journals, these journal articles. These are all peer-reviewed articles, and that's what we're looking for is peer-reviewed articles. They're from academic or professional journals, and they're all about your particular field. So marketing, impact, validating, personal finance, et cetera, et cetera. And your goal is to find an article that you're interested in your field, okay, and to summarize in 100 to 200 words. And that's how you'll find peer-reviewed articles throughout the rest of the semester is by looking in those research guides. Now, there's another way if you can't find anything at all, or if you keep running into problems, or for whatever reason, I'll show you another way that we can do it. Now, this will be a less kind of nuanced approach to research, but it's something that students often kind of fall into. So let's take a look. So instead of going to your menu right here and going to the databases, you can go to this quick search. Let's just search business finance. Now this is going to pull up everything Wayne State has about business finance. So we've got web searches over here, no particular books, but if you search other things, you might get books right here. But we've also got all these articles and things over here, so we can view all the results. Okay, and same thing, we've got all these journals that pop up that we could look at. Okay, so those are your 2 approaches that you could use in order to try to find a peer-reviewed article if you're still having problems. Now, even if you missed the deadline for Blog 2, I still want you to do the work. I still want you to find the 2 articles, and I want you to send me the 2 articles. Not the links to them, but just your your kind of 100 to 200 word summaries of them, because you're going to need them for this week and for the rest of the project too. Okay, so that's my little thing about the blogs. If you are having problems with the blogs, you need to get in touch with me so we can figure it out, because the blogs are a lot of times what are kind of the building blocks for our bigger projects, and it's stuff that if you get behind on those, you're going to have trouble completing the larger projects. So make sure you're staying up to date on the blogs. Okay, so let's talk about project 2 then. Now, project 2 is what we call the genre analysis. Now, if you think about the way we've been using the term genre throughout the semester, we're not just talking about things like categories, like movies, like comedy, horror, and stuff like that. What we're talking about in terms of genres, and we're talking about a way that we are able to communicate a lot of information really quickly. Now, what I mean by that is if I use a particular genre, I'm able to do a lot of things very easily. So just to return to the category thing. So if I say I saw a horror movie this weekend, you understand what kind of movie I saw. You understood that it was probably scary. There was probably, maybe some goriness to it. There was probably a lot of jump scares, scary music, dark kind of scenes. Or if I said I saw a comedy movie this weekend, you understand there's probably jokes, there's laughter, it's probably bright and happy, things like that. So just by saying horror or comedy, I'm communicating all of that to you really quickly. Now, this is what we're talking about when we use genre in our context as well. We're talking about a tool that we use in order to communicate a lot of information. And so, for example, we're talking about if you're in the medical field, a medical form is a genre that we use to communicate a lot of information, right? And so, or like a patient history form, you would give me this one document, and I would give you back all of the information you need about my personal health that would help you treat me. And so it's one tool that gives you tons of information about me. Or if we're talking about, any other kind of tool that we're using, we could talk about how the chalkboard in a classroom is a genre, right? If I say I'm using a chalkboard today, kind of what kind of things to expect, probably what setting that we're in, what kind of work we'll be doing. I'll be doing a lot of things for you to take notes on, right? And so when we're talking about genres, we're talking about the ways in which people communicate. Now, our goal for this project is going to be looking at the articles that you found as genres that are relevant to your community. So articles as tools that people in your community use to communicate really effectively. And so what we're going to be doing throughout this project is figuring out what makes an article in your community tick, what makes it work, what are its basic components, and how does it function to produce information and provide information. And so let's take a look at the introduction and the kind of overall project description. So for this project, we'll be exploring how to read, analyze, and use professional and scholarly genre of the peer-reviewed journal article, which is, again, why even if you missed the deadline for blog 2, I still want you to do the work. This project will provide you with the experience that will help you prepare for writing and communicating within professional and scholarly communities. So again, by the end of this project, you'll have a better sense of how to craft a appropriate journal article in your field. So what you're going to do is you're going to use one of the peer-reviewed articles that we've read in class. So one of the writing studies ones, remember, like the Wardle or the Harris or any of those articles that I've assigned. So you're going to use one of those articles, and you're going to compare that article to one that you found from your community. So you're going to have writing studies article and one of your articles, and you're going to compare them. And so what you'll do is you'll talk about how the basic components of them relate to each other. How are they different? How are they similar? How do they overlap? How does each one allow the community to, disperse and understand new knowledge? Okay. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to break this essay into 3 major sections: identification, analysis, and reflection. And so this is a description of each section. So for the identification section, what you'll do is you'll identify the major conventions or components found in the articles that you've selected. So for example, what citation styles are used? What are there like major sections? Are there headers? What are the major sections? How are they ordered? So for example, is there an abstract? Is there a research section? Is there an analysis section if you're in the sciences? What sections of the article have the most attention paid to them? Which ones are the most extensive? What kind of stylistic features do you see? For example, do you see like a lot of the first person? Do you see third person? Do you see kind of objective, kind of scientific approach. You see a subjective kind of like personal approach. Do we use passive voice or present tense or passive voice, or do we see like any kind of points of view invoked, things like that. And so essentially what you're going to do is you're going to work from top to bottom in your article, and you're going to pick it apart and say, these are the basic pieces of the article that I see. In the analysis section, you're going to analyze how these major conventions or components indicate the ways in which the genre supports the goals of the community. So for example, you're going to talk about like, okay, so this science journal uses APA style. What does that tell me about the community? Well, if you know APA, you'll know that it's focused primarily on the date of publication, right? That's one of the first things you see in that citation. And so what you could say is like, look, I see that this community is using APA, and so what that tells me is that they are really focused and concerned with when something happened, because we want to make sure that we're using the most current research. Whereas if they're using MLA, they're focused on the author, right? We don't care when it happened. We care about who is the person that came up with this idea. So two different communities using two different citation styles, and those citation styles tell us something about those communities. And so you're basically in your analysis section, you'll be working through that. Like, what do these components tell us about these communities? And then your reflection section, you'll reflect on what you learned through this analysis. What did you learn about your community? What can you say about your discourse community after completing this analysis? Okay, so I know that's a lot, and I will be kind of returning to this idea. I'm not just going to leave you guys hanging with this one video, so I'll return to this again and we'll work through it. But let's take a look at our weekly tasks. So for week 4, what you're going to do is you're going to be reading chapter 6. This is kind of rhetorically reading, tracking, and evaluating sources. Again, just to help you kind of work through and find sources. And also some of the student samples that I posted down here. So I want you to read these as well. And what I'll do is probably tomorrow or Thursday, I'll put up a video walking through these sources as well, so we can talk about everything that we see and how each of these sections is demonstrated in these samples. So once you've done your reading for the week, I've got a blog here. Now this blog is something we're going to call it the genre inventory list. And so for this assignment, you'll be making a list of all the components of your chosen articles that you observe. So I want you to identify like specific language, tone, sentence structure, citation method, paragraph structure, evidence, whatever you see. Your goal is to list as many things as possible by focusing on each component that makes up the text you're reading. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to try to use those 2 articles that you found for Blog 2, the one Writing Center Studies article and the one from your community. And like literally you're just going to list them out. And so for example, we might say, you know, so writing, and this is all you're going to do. You notice, like, you know, it's maybe MLA, short sentences, professional tone, etc. And then we go to maybe say, so I'll do mine, so I'm in literature. We see MLA, we see long descriptive sentences. We might see lots of evidence from the text, etc., right? So literally, you're just going to give me the title of your 2 articles, and you're just going to list off as many things as you can think of, and try to come up with a bunch. And what this is going to do, this is going to provide you the kind of fodder that you need in order to do this genre analysis. So this is going to be a good place to start developing that identification section. Okay, so just to wrap up then this video, all I want you to focus on for this week, oops, that's not what I want. All I want you to focus on for this week is to read over your Project 2 description, and then just start doing the work for this week and do your genre inventory list. And like I said, I will post a video later on in the week walking through these samples and then just talking more deeply about the assignment itself. All right, guys, let me know if you have questions. I'll get your Project 1s back to you as soon as possible, and I will talk to you guys later.